Nestled high in the Himalayas, the village of Avani stood cloaked in an ethereal silence. A veil of mist clung to the steep slopes, obscuring the world beyond. The air hung heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth, a fragrance both alluring and unsettling. Ancient stone houses, weathered by time and hardship, huddled together as if seeking solace from the imposing mountains that loomed above. Avani was a place of breathtaking beauty, yet an undercurrent of unease lingered beneath its picturesque facade. The villagers, their faces etched with a deep-rooted fear, moved with a hurried, almost furtive grace. Their whispers spoke of an age-old dread, a nameless terror that stalked the cobblestone streets when the moon reached its zenith. As the sun began its descent, casting long, eerie shadows across the valley, a palpable tension descended upon Avani. The laughter of children ceased, replaced by the mournful call of a distant bird. Doors were bolted, windows shuttered, and the village retreated into an uneasy silence, bracing itself for the arrival of midnight. The hour of the Chaya, the shadow. Fear, like the icy mountain air, permeated every corner of Avani, an unwelcome but ever-present guest. It had seeped into the very soul of the village, shaping its destiny and casting a long dark shadow over its inhabitants. The legend of the Chaya was more than just a chilling tale whispered around flickering oil lamps on cold winter nights. It was a living, breathing entity that haunted the collective memory of Avani. Its presence felt most keenly in the hushed tones and fearful glances exchanged between villagers. Passed down through generations, the legend spoke of a malevolent spirit, a being of pure darkness that roamed the village under the cloak of night. The Chaya, they called it, the shadow. It was said to be formless, shapeless, a chilling void that claimed those foolish enough to be caught outside after the midnight hour. Some whispered that the Chaya was the vengeful spirit of a scorned lover, forever seeking retribution for a love betrayed. Others spoke of an ancient deity, angered by a forgotten transgression and demanding appeasement. Whatever its origins, the fear it evoked was very real, a palpable weight that pressed down upon the villagers. Year after year, the legend grew, fueled by the unexplained disappearances that plagued Avani. Each full moon, the village held its breath, dreading the news of another soul lost to the clutches of the shadow. The Chaya was more than just a story, it was a grim reality that cast a pall over their lives, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the periphery of their vision. Aditi arrived in Avani with the first whispers of winter, her arrival as unexpected as the early snowfall that dusted the mountain peaks. A young investigative journalist with a thirst for the unknown, Aditi had been drawn to the village by the whispers of a chilling legend. The story of the Chaya, dismissed by many as mere folklore, had sparked a fire in her inquisitive mind. Aditi was a woman of stark contrasts, her city-bred sophistication juxtaposed against the rugged beauty of the Himalayas. Her piercing gaze, framed by a cascade of unruly black hair, hinted at a keen intellect and an unwavering determination. She carried herself with an air of quiet confidence, her notepad and pen her only weapons against the mysteries that awaited her in Avani. Driven by a hunger for truth and an unwavering belief in the power of storytelling, Aditi had come to Avani to separate fact from fiction, to unravel the truth behind the legend that held the village captive. She had faced down corrupt officials and exposed corporate cover-ups, but the fear that permeated Avani was different, more primal, more deeply ingrained. This was a challenge that tested not only her journalistic skills, but also her courage. Aditi knew that uncovering the truth behind the Chaya would be no easy feat. She was an outsider, met with suspicion and distrust by the villagers, their silence a barrier more formidable than any mountain pass. But Aditi was not one to be deterred. She had come to Avani seeking answers, and she would not leave until the shadow of fear that hung over the village had been lifted. Vivek, a young man on the cusp of manhood, embodied the conflicting forces that pulled at the heart of Avani. Born and raised in the village, he was intimately familiar with its ancient traditions, and steeped in the lore that had shaped its identity. Yet, a part of him yearned for the world beyond the mountains, a world of opportunities and experiences that lay beyond the reach of Avani's long shadow. With his athletic build, sun-kissed skin, and a disarming smile that belied a quiet intelligence, Vivek was torn between his loyalty to his village and a desire to break free from the chains of fear that bound it. He had witnessed firsthand the devastating effects of the Chaya legend, the way it crippled the spirit and extinguished the light in his people's eyes. When Aditi arrived, her arrival a ripple in the stagnant waters of Avani, Vivek was initially hesitant, torn between his curiosity and the deep-seated fear that warned him against meddling in matters best left undisturbed. He had seen outsiders come and go, their curiosity fleeting, their promises of help evaporating like the morning mist. Yet there was something different about Aditi, a spark of determination in her eyes that resonated with the flicker of hope that still burned within him. He recognized in her a kindred spirit, someone who refused to be cowed by fear, someone who sought to shine a light into the darkest corners of their world. And so, against his better judgment, Vivek found himself drawn into Aditi's orbit, becoming her reluctant guide and confidant in her quest to unravel the mystery of the Chaya.